Mark Carney's budget 2025 has passed, and to be quite blunt, we're fucked. This budget sucks. It absolutely sucks. He paraded around like he was going to be putting out some sort of generational paradigm shifting budget that was going to change the trajectory of Canada, and it got a lot of people excited. But instead, this budget is actually really conservative. It strips back services from Canadians, and it gifts a huge chunk of money to America's military-industrial complex, which is currently waging an illegal war in South America, bombing Venezuelan boats and threatening to bomb Mexico now. So, just to be clear, Mark Carney came up on the energy of we want to distance ourselves from America, on the elbows up energy, on the Pierre Poilievre is too much like Donald Trump and we don't want him near us type of energy. But there have been signs all along, I'm seeing now, looking back, that this guy was going to con us. Because while we all voted with our dollars not to engage further with America, we're not buying American things at the grocery store, we're not traveling to the States, we're costing their economy billions of dollars, we're not putting American alcohol on our shelves. We're doing all of this stuff as consumers to rebel against the threats being made to us by the pumpkin president south of the border. And what does he do? He being Mark Carney. What does Mark Carney do with all of that energy that put him in the prime minister's office? He gifts America a huge fucking check for the military. Billions and billions and billions of dollars, probably hundreds of billions over the next few years. Military spending in the States. So you fearmonger about what America can possibly do to us. Talk about how we need to build our military and be able to defend ourselves. Low-key making it seem like you're talking about America, when in reality, it's very obvious that there's no amount of bolstering we can do to our military at this point that could make us someone that's going to stand up to America should they launch a full-scale invasion. Instead of investing in this country, instead of investing more money in things like high-speed rail, something that so many other countries have. And Canada's huge, by the way. Okay, one of the things that this bill reveals is our inability historically to trade amongst each other as provinces. Things that are being made in Saskatchewan can't make it to Ontario, can't make it to BC, can't make it to PEI, vice versa, and all around the country. And this is not something that any prime minister has put meaningful effort behind, building a rail system that can connect the provinces so that we can be our own customer, which would actually insulate us from American tariffs, because we wouldn't have to rely so much on getting stuff from them or selling stuff to them, because it's difficult to trade things in our own Brobdingnagian country. But that's not what this bill is going to address. A fraction, I'm talking less than 1% of what we're giving America's military is being spent on high-speed rail. Mark Carney is out there talking about, taking advantage of the American brain drain. We're going to steal all their H-1Bs, which, to be clear, I support. Steal as much American talent as you can. That place is falling down, and there is an opportunity there. But what are you going to follow that up with, Mark? Are we going to build out our own Ivy League? Are you going to dump a bunch of money into our own university so that we can have cutting edge research, so that we could have something like Switzerland does with CERN, or something like Taiwan has with their chips, or something like Germany has with their train systems? Are we going to be doing anything cool like that? No, we're just going to steal their talent, make stuff here that we can then just sell back to America while we cozy up to you. I mean, it's so upsetting. Conservatives put on this whole political pageantry about, oh, we hate this, we hate this. Meanwhile, two of their own cross the aisle over to the liberal side to make sure the budget goes on. Oh, I see. You're playing games. You really do like this budget. The only thing conservatives criticize about this budget is that it doesn't strip more things away from Canadians. They're like, the deficit. Fuck the deficit. What about what's going on the ground? The deficit is something that every country in the world has to deal with, and that is dealt with through a strong economy. And we are no longer buying in 2025 this trickle-down economic bullshit. Put the money in the hands of the people. But that's not what conservatives would complain about. They know that once you give money to the people, that will go into the stores and spend it and stimulate this fucking economy. Okay, poor people, and I'm counting myself amongst them. Okay, we don't have savings in some offshore account where we can hide it. We're not buying stocks and then lobbying the government to make sure that you can't tax us. We don't have capital gains and things like that. We get our money, it goes to rent, to the groceries, to gas, to clothing stores, to nail salons, to all types of things that fucking make an economy work. Conservatives don't want that though. They're mad that you're getting what you're getting right now. They want less in your pocket. They want more, they want the taxes to go to the deficit. It's never going to fucking go to the deficit. The deficit will just keep climbing. It's a ping pong ball that they just like to toss back and forth to each other. And so what if you fix the deficit? Do we get the deficit's fixed tax credit? Do you get the deficit's fixed tax break on your income taxes? Do you look at your payroll breakdown and see a deficit's fixed credit? No, you fucking don't. Because we're always going to be borrowing money. We're always going to be some way in debt. You need to fucking look at other markers that make a society successful, that make a country successful. But that's not what they want to do. They want to lie about, the deficit, while they make tax breaks for the rich even more lucrative. While you can continue to make Canada a place where people overseas can hide their money. That's why half the fucking downtown strip in Toronto is owned by Chinese and Arabs who don't even live here, who've never even seen the apartment. I used to work at a print shop a long time ago, and people went from printing one sheets that showed you the layout of a condo to just printing investor brochures. People don't even need to see it. They're just hiding their money here from their own governments that are actually investing in their own country. They hide it from China and places because China's taking that money and investing it in their own country. They're not allowing billionaires to come up and hoard the wealth. And they want to point at those societies and make us scared of it while billionaires continue to prop up over here and Canadians are financing their groceries. It's bullshit. Pierre Poilievre wants to be able to continue to be part of the opposition. And he also wants his bill to pass. So he sends two of his little cronies over to the other side, pretending that they're choosing country over party. Fuck you. And now Pierre Poilievre can just stand there and be like, oh, I hate this bill. I never wanted it to pass. Well, then how did that happen? What happened to the strong man who was eating apples in interviews, side-eyeing all these interviewers, Mr. I'm going to deal with Trump. Apparently, you can't even deal with your own party members who are conservatives. And then we have Elizabeth May, party of one. And this is the problem with the fucking political system in Canada. You can have a party of one. There are no other Green MPs. And the Green Party, by the way, if it weren't Elizabeth May, if it had honest MPs in that party, would be one of the best platforms Canada had to offer. Not that they get any airtime, and that's on purpose. But Elizabeth May, party of one, who right up until voting day was saying, I'm not voting for this bill because it's going to be a detriment to the environment. What does she do at the 11th hour? Oh, well, I listened to what Carney had to say on the floor, and I trust him. Really? You don't trust the words in the bill. You didn't even hear him say a firm commitment that he's going to absolutely adhere to the Paris Climate Agreement. He's like, I'm committed to it, sort of, yeah. And I'm determined for us to reach it. That says, I'm not going to fucking do anything about it. Why do you think Danielle Smith is smiling ear to ear? He's whispering in her ear that she's probably going to get a pipeline, that they're going to force that through force that down BC's throat. Why do you think it strips Indigenous communities of their rights in this bill? Because he wants to be able to expand with pipelines and things like that. And listen, I'm not saying this that we need to get rid of the pipeline and the oil industry and all of that stuff and leave a bunch of people in those provinces who rely on those industries for work hung out to dry. What I'm saying is what an actual generational shift would have looked like is if there was a plan for us to actually meaningfully move to renewable energy and put those jobs where the oil industry is. Nobody wants Albertans to be out of work. Nobody wants any province to be out of work. But we have to find a way to create prosperous industries here that aren't going to fuck the environment in the meantime. We have to be able to agree on those kinds of things, because Canada, much to our, like, people look around online on the world stage. It looks like Canada just like rah, rah, the polar bears, we love them. And, the environment, we love the environment. If you look at the stats, we are amongst the greatest polluters all the time, regularly. We're two-faced. We sing one song there, and then we continue to extract the most disgusting type of oil there is from the ground. We are not drilling oil the way they are in Saudi Arabia, the way they are in, Venezuela or other places like that. We have oil trapped in sand that we have to heat so that it drips out of the sand. It is one of the worst ways to extract oil from the ground. It causes some of the worst pollution. It is some of the most detrimental to the environment. Like, just think about the process. You're not just sucking it up like a straw, the way that oil just comes springing out of the ground in Saudi Arabia. It is mud. It is sludge that you have to separate in order to get the oil. And that's what we're banking on. That's where we're moving towards. Meanwhile, other countries are moving towards electric cars. They talk about demonizing China all the time. And the Chinese threat. Look at what China's doing. They are actually insulating themselves from America. They recognize the geographical threat America poses to their ability to import oil based on the straits that America is trying to have control over in the waters. So they recognize that, and they are pivoted. They have been pivoting their entire country for decades to move towards renewable energy. And we point to them and say, "Oh my God, they're so scary." What are we doing? What are we doing? Canadians just all had one of the most amazing times watching the Blue Jays go to the World Series. Would be cool if there was like a plan to build out some more university teams so that we can build more national teams. I mean, like, help Canadians build an identity of their own outside of being America's little brother. Because even when the agenda is supposed to be fuck the states, it turns out we're actually just getting in bed with the states. And what are they doing? Their entire economy is being propped up by 5 AI companies. That is what countless articles are saying. Wall Street Journal on. Everybody is saying it. But we act like we have to be scared of them. They're a ticking time bomb, and we are constantly dancing around them as if we have no choice but to do everything Trump says. And if you don't think that this military spending is something that Trump is demanding from us, I'd like to take your memory back to the NATO summit that we were at, where Trump was literally demanding that we double our military spending to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars because, quote, we're not carrying our half of the deal. America's busy starting wars all over the place, and you guys are really not helping us along with that. That's the fucking thing. Who's Canada fighting? Who are we fighting? Who do we have beef with? Fucking no one. But the argument is that people might come and attack America, so Canada has to beef up and go give Americans some more money. You know what I mean? How does that make sense? Instead of looking at America and saying, stop what the fuck you're doing, stop destroying the world, stop going everywhere and destabilizing governments. For God's sakes, Maduro in Venezuela is saying, take my oil for free, and you're still insisting on invading him. And what does Canada do? Oh, gee, let's buy some F-35s. Fuck you. Fuck you. I would have been cool to see that money go towards a warehouse here that builds F-35s that Canadians can fucking make. And it is a known secret in the weapons community that F-35s ain't even that hot anymore. The fucking Pakistani and Indian little scuffle proved that. There's new tech out here, cheaper things that can blow F-35s out the sky. And Canada, once again, late to the fucking races by a decade or more, is like, let's buy some F-35s to appease Trump. We voted for you to fight our bully, not buy him off for us. We're struggling. Canadians are struggling. Food banks are fucking struggling. For the first time in a long time, food banks are struggling to get the food out to communities. And what do we see? Billions of our tax dollars, the same dollars that we were actively denying to America by not going there, by not buying their products, by demanding our grocery stores mark things that are from the US so that we can avoid them. He goes ahead and just hands that money over to them anyways via military contracts. Mark Carney is a fucking fraud. Insofar as I can tell, with this move, he is a fucking fraud. And this whole political charade of, oh, I'm not going to vote for it until the final second, and conservatives are finally, having a change of heart and going over to the right side and voting that was bullshit. Everybody saw this bill and loved it. Anyhow, I'm going to pause right here. To highlight a few Canadians who actually did speak up, who actually did say what was on their mind, who tried to encourage the party to not abandon the Canadian people. And we'll start with a clip from, let's see here. I have a couple. Let's do Eve first. Eve Engler, spoke about him a few times on this channel. He is going to be running for the leadership of the NDP. And by God, does NDP need new leadership. So let me go ahead and read a quote of his right now. A quote from the hopefully future leader of the NDP, Eve Engler. The caucus should not be facilitating Carney's war budget. When tens of thousands of jobs are on the line, NDP MPs need to show up and vote. We can't stand for working class people while propping up the Carney government. That is how you speak up. And all this nonsense about, what if it triggers an election? What if it does? If MPs are telling you that their constituents don't want what's in your craptacular bill, maybe there should be an election because you are not representing the people. We don't want war. We don't want to go to war. We don't want to be America's bitch while they go to war. And lastly, I'm going to end the video with a video clip. I encourage you to watch the entire clip from actual Liberal MP who had the balls to speak up, Nathaniel Erskine Smith. And then we'll leave it at that. M the Gem, anything else? Awesome. So tune in. We will have a lot more coming from what Canada's up to or not up to, things we're saying and not saying about America's belligerent and completely illegal behavior in Latin America. Some on the Epstein files, some on the BC land drama, and more. Subscribe if you haven't already. Bred in Captivity, out.
Stalled climate action, cutting tree planting, moving away from an emissions cap, winding down greener homes. No new money for climate action. On housing, it falls short of these specific promises in our platform, and it unfortunately falls well short of the wartime effort that many of us thought we'd deliver. The budget adds $140 billion in new spending over 5 years, $90 billion net after savings, and only 36% of the net new spending is capital. My kids shouldn't pay for today's military or for me to save $400 of income taxes. We see the budget commit to a new inefficient fossil fuel subsidy for LNG facilities. We do not need more public dollars chasing fossil fuels. Worse, we see major cuts of over $2.5 billion over 4 years to international development assistance. Overall, the budget meets the moment in part, but fairly, it does not live up to its promise of generational investments.